Hey guys, it's Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. This video has nothing to do with Hong Kong cinema. Why is it on this channel? I just rescued over 100 movies from the freaking trash. Before we get into that, if you are not subscribed, and you could subscribe, that would be a huge, huge help to the channel. If you like movies, if you like physical media, if you're into martial arts films, Hong Kong cinema, and all that other stuff, it would be much, much appreciated. So what the hell am I talking about, and what happened? I work at a university. And this like literally just happened. I'm like really hyped on this. I'm really excited. So I'm sorry if I'm like, in this video. I work at a university, and the building in which I work has the offices for all of the humanities professors. So that would be like English, theology, languages, philosophy, like all that kind of stuff, right? History. I was walking down, I went on a lunch break. I went and sat at like this little seating area in the philosophy department, and I was reading a manga, Spriggan. If there are any manga fans out there, I'm reading Spriggan right now. It is freaking fantastic. If you haven't read Spriggan and you're a manga fan or a comic book fan or a sci-fi fan, like it's amazing. It's like black magic fantasy type of stuff, but the world is cyberpunk. So it's like an Akira type of cyberpunk world, but the mythology is like biblical mythology, black magic fantasy type of stuff. Is really, really cool. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I went and I was reading on my lunch break, and I was walking back to my office, and I was passing through the languages department, and I saw this huge pile of trash outside of a professor's door. And this is actually a professor who's friends with my boss, who is also a professor. So I know that she's getting close to retiring, and she's probably just throwing out a bunch of crap that was in her office. And I was like, it's probably just like books and papers and whatever. And I saw a VHS tape, and I was like, wait a minute, are there movies in the trash there? And I got closer, and I saw that there was an enormous freaking pile of VHS tapes in trash cans. And I was like, hell no, hell no. Let me show you. I'm sitting right next to a cart. Okay? These movies, there's some on the bottom there. I don't know if you can see them. They were all in the trash. And like on the one hand, it's like whatever, VHS is a dead medium, and I kind of get it. And like maybe people just don't want to transport a bunch of freaking VHS tapes to wherever they're going. But like at first I didn't know what to do. And then I saw one of the VHS tapes, and I was like, holy shit, I cannot live in a world in which someone would throw that movie away, because it's one of my 10 favorite movies of all time. Let me show you what it is, because I have it right here. It's The 400 Blows. Francois Truffaut. This movie came out in 1959. It's one of the first films of the French New Wave. It is one of the most incredible coming-of-age stories ever made. It's a really beautiful film, and I just love the shit out of this movie. And I'm like, I can't live in a world in which someone throws away The 400 Blows. I saw this movie in theaters at the Arrow in Santa Monica, and Christoph Waltz was sitting right in front of me. And he loved it. And he was talking to, I think he was there with his wife and some other friends, and they were talking in French. And it was just like, there were only like 10 people in the theater. And he was like right in front. Anyway, this is one of my favorite movies ever. And I saw that, and I was like, I can't live in this world where people throw away The 400 Blows. So I ran back to my office, and I texted my boss, and I was like, hey, is that woman, she's a professor of Italian, which there's a shitload of Italian movies in here. I was like, is she retiring? And my boss was like, she's like moving a bunch of crap out of her office. And I was like, can I take those VHS tapes? Because she wasn't in her office. I knocked on the door to be like, hey, can I take these? And she didn't answer them. She didn't answer the door. So I texted my boss, and she's like, yeah, she's like actually going to Italy right now. She's not even in the country. So just take them. So I was like, okay, I grabbed this cart that you saw that the movies were on, which we have in our office. I went back down there, and I shit you not, as I was getting there, the trash guys were getting there. And I was like, hey, before you guys take the trash, can I please just grab the VHS tapes? And they were like the nicest dudes in the world. They're like, we'll help you load them up. So they helped me load them all in the cart. I'm not going to show you every movie in here. I'm going to be straight up real with you and tell you that like beyond Fellini and beyond the obvious stuff like Bicycle Thieves and whatever, I'm not like an expert on Italian cinema at all. So I've never even heard of a lot of these movies. But I was just like, I couldn't let them be thrown away. I just couldn't. And there's some like non-Italian movies, like The Crying Game is here, the Neil Jordan film. And interestingly, this is, I think, a UK copy because it's got the 18 rating on it. But let me show you some of the ones that I saw where I was just like, after I saw the Truffaut movie, I was like, wait a minute, what? And I started to look around a little bit, and I started to see other stuff. The first other thing I saw where I was like, hell no, is Contempt, which is a Godard film, which I've also seen this movie in theaters at the Arrow, the same place I saw The 400 Blows. I'm a huge fan of Godard. Godard is one of my favorite, definitely top 10 favorite filmmakers, and this is such a classic movie, and Brigitte Bardot is in it, and Jack Palance, and Fritz Lang, the filmmaker, the German expressionist filmmaker, is in this movie. This movie has one of the greatest opening scenes in the history of cinema, and I was like, I cannot let someone throw away freaking Contempt. I mean, come on. Then I saw 2 movies by someone who, like, it's really hard for me to pick a favorite filmmaker, but if we were doing that game where, like, someone puts a gun to my head and they're like, "Who's your favorite filmmaker?" and I have to answer, I would say probably 8 times out of 10, I would say Fellini. I found 2 freaking Fellini movies, and one of them is one of my 5 favorite Fellini movies, which is Satyricon. I freaking love it. This is the British release again, too. I freaking love this movie. This movie is batshit insane. It's like someone did acid and then made like a Roman orgy, odyssey, fantasy, mythology sex movie. Like, it is freaking insane. My favorite Fellini movie, which is like my second favorite movie ever. There have been points in my life where I would put it at number 1. I usually put Apocalypse Now at number 1, and then La Dolce Vita is my second favorite film, which is a Fellini film. And there you go, Fellini's Satyricon. And then I found, I think the only, I'm not sure about this. I think this is the only Fellini film I've ever seen. And when I say that, I say it pretty confidently because I freaking saw like a mockumentary about clowns that Fellini made for Italian TV. Like, I've gone deep into Fellini. Check this out with Roberto Benigni, La Voce della Luna, which I guess means the voice of the moon. This is all Italian. Like, the writing on here is all Italian. So this might not even have English subs on it. But this is from 1989. I've never seen this movie before. And like I said, Fellini really is probably my favorite filmmaker. And then I found Le Amici. I don't speak any Italian. But I am, I'm originally from New Jersey, so I just do stuff like Le Amici, hey, ciao, paesano, mozzarella, Tony Soprano. So this is, Antonioni, who's a very, very famous film, and he did Blow Up, and he did so many other really famous movies. And there you go. And there's just like a couple. I'm not going to show you every single thing on here. I'm not really sure what to do with these. Like, my plan right now is just put them in boxes, and I put them in like maybe the study at my house or something like that. If you're like a Hong Kong, or excuse me, what am I saying? Hong Kong. If you're like an Italian cinema scholar and you digitize movies and you have an archive and you want these, hit me up, send me an email. I would be happy to send them to someone who would really prize them. And I'm like, we're trying to build a Hong Kong cinema archive where we collect all these movies. And part of that plan is I really want to have a physical space where we can have people come in and like we would have members or whatever. And the members could come in and watch movies and bring their friends in and have like a little room and a space. And you could watch the VHS version, or you could watch the Laserdisc version, whatever. Now I'm like, should we just start a movie archive in general and collect as much shit as possible and have like almost like a movie library / museum type of thing? Like, I don't, because there's so many movies in the world that nobody wants. And so Pasolini, Oedipus Rex. And then we have Umberto D, which is, I'm not going to show you the front of this one because it has the name of the professor on it, which is, I don't want to put her out on social media for people to see. I'm sure she values your privacy. But this is a very famous film too. And this is De Sica, right? Vittorio De Sica. Yeah. Who's, Italian New Wave, like legend. There are some of the videos in here, they don't have cover art on them. Here, I think this is one right here. And it says studio copy on it. This one doesn't say that, but you can see it just says like the director and stuff. So maybe these are like library copies. But there's a couple of them that look like this, and they actually have a sticker on them that says studio copy. So maybe it was like a version of it that they had in the studio. And I mean, this woman is a professor of Italian. Like I said, she goes to Italy all the time. Maybe she has connections with people who produce films, and maybe she would show these films in her class. So maybe she'd be like, hey, can I get a copy of this for my class? And they would just like make one up for her. And there are also like blank tapes in here as well. If you remember these days of just blank, I don't know how old my audience is, but I think it's a fair number of people who are my age and remember the VHS days. And so you'll remember like having the tapes and, just putting movies on them and then writing on the labels what was on there. And so I'm getting like some nostalgia just looking through this. And I'm trying to find one of the ones that says studio copy on it, but I'm presently failing to do so. But it's just like, I mean, I saw the movies and I was like, I can't let someone throw away. I think there's about 110 VHS tapes, and some of them have multiple movies on them. So if I had to guess, I'd say there's 150 to 200 movies on this cart that I have right now. And it's just like, You know, and again, I'm not an expert in Italian cinema. I don't know what Ciao Masina is, but it looks pretty fun. Gerard Depardieu is in this film. I probably should know what this is if Gerard Depardieu is in it. It's probably a famous movie, and I'm embarrassing myself here. But Visconti, come on. La Notte Bianche. Do you like my fake Italian accent? Wow. Oh, dude, I love these old style Italian, the poster for La Dolce Vita that looks like this, that I had a phone case specially made with that poster on it for many years. And Marcello Mastroianni is in this film, you know, who's in a lot of those Fellini movies, including La Dolce Vita. So, but again, this is all in Italian, as you can see. So I highly doubt there's any subtitles. But the cool thing about digitizing is you can create a digital file and then you could probably throw subs on it. So the university I work at does have the ability to digitize VHS. And so I actually had a conversation with Mike, you know, who's the silent partner in this channel, about, you know, potentially digitizing all these and creating like a digital archive of these Italian films. And like, here's Storia de Amore, love story. I guess that's what that means. I've never even heard of this movie. Let me know in the comments what you think about this, whether you like Italian cinema, whether you think I should have just let these rot and go into the trash, or whether you think it was useful for me to... There's actually a Bertolucci movie in here too. So Bertolucci is probably most famous for maybe doing Last Tango in Paris, but The Conformist is this really incredible movie he did in the late 60s that's really, really amazing here. It's called Partner, Bertolucci, and this is from when? I don't know, it doesn't even say. 1968? 1968! So this is before... Is this before The Conformist? God, I don't even know. But he also did like Little Buddha and The Last Emperor and some films in Hollywood. And The Conviction, about uncontrolled desire, sex, and passion. Yes, Daddy. That looks fun. Again, this is another movie I never even heard of. But I do know a thing about uncontrolled desire, sex, and passion with my right hand. And then this is Il Caso Mattei. This is Francesco Rossi. So I have heard of him. It's from 1972. Again, I don't really know what to do with these movies. And if you do think... I am interested to know what people think about this. Like, what would you have done if you had come across this? I almost want to, like, email someone higher up at the university and be like, is there any way that I can send out a mass communique being like, if you're a professor and you're moving out of your office, don't freaking throw away movies. I will take them from you. Because I know that like my boss is a professor. She's a Shakespeare professor. She has shitloads of Shakespeare movies, and a lot of them are on VHS. And she's retiring within the next year or two, and she's probably not going to keep those VHS tapes. And she teaches Shakespeare. She teaches what am I saying? Ron, the Kurosawa film. You know, which is because it's based on King Lear. So like she's got a VHS copy of Ron, and like I don't know. I just couldn't. It hurt my soul to think of movies just being thrown in the trash like that. I'm just looking at what else is on here. So my name is Will. You're watching Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society, the Cinema Italiano edition. I'm going to go home and eat a plate of spaghetti. I thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.